There's something you need to know. Something I've been carrying inside for far too long. I've tried to silence it, drown it out with distraction, pretend it didn't exist. But the truth has a way of clawing its way back into the light. I've had this conversation with myself 1,000 times, in the quiet of nights that never seemed to end, in the stillness of moments that stretched too wide with regret. And each time, fear stopped me. Fear of losing you. Fear of being seen. Fear that once the words were out, I'd never be able to take them back. But silence has done more damage than the truth ever could. So here I am, finally saying what should have been said long ago. I have something important to confess. I wasn't honest. Not with you. Not with myself. I didn't lie in the way you might think. I never told you something untrue. But I hid. I kept my feelings locked away. Not to deceive you, but to protect myself. I was afraid that if you saw the parts of me that trembled, the parts that cried in secret, the parts that doubted whether they were worthy of love, you would walk away. I wore a mask of strength while quietly unraveling beneath it, and for that I am deeply sorry. Because in trying to protect my heart, I ended up breaking yours. I made you believe you were the only one trying. I made you feel like your love was unanswered. I let you think you were chasing something that didn't want to be caught. But that wasn't true. I cared for you more than I ever let myself say. I loved you in silence, with hesitation, with fear, and in doing so I made you feel alone. I saw the way your eyes changed, the way your voice softened when the distance grew. I felt the weight of your doubt, and I did nothing to ease it. You knew. Deep down, you knew I was hiding something, and you were right. The truth is, I loved you. I still do. I loved you in the way that made ordinary moments feel like something sacred. I loved you in the way that made me believe in things I thought I had lost faith in. I just never said it. I never let the words leave my lips when they mattered most. And now I live with that silence echoing inside me. I see now that you were never asking for perfection. You were asking for honesty, for presence, for someone to meet you where you stood. And I, too afraid to step into that space, let you stand there alone. I thought I could protect us by being strong, but what you needed was for me to be real. I should have shown you the shaky parts, the scared parts, the vulnerable heart that beat only for you. Instead, I gave you a version of me that looked whole but was breaking. I pushed you away while secretly hoping you'd stay. I let you go while praying you'd hold on. But love isn't a puzzle to be solved in silence. It's a truth that only grows when spoken. And I failed to speak it. There's more I need to say. This isn't just about what I didn't tell you. It's about what I didn't tell myself. I blamed timing, distance, confusion. But the truth is, I was the one who couldn't open the door. You were knocking with your whole heart, and I left you standing in the cold. I was afraid of being loved so deeply, afraid of needing someone as much as I needed you. So I ran. I told myself I wasn't ready. But the truth is, I just didn't believe I deserved you. And instead of rising to meet the love you offered, I hid from it. I ruined something beautiful. Not with cruelty, but with hesitation. Not with betrayal, but with silence. And now, I have to live with that. I know now that love isn't about having it all figured out. It's about showing up anyway. It's about choosing someone even on the days when your hands are shaking and your heart is unsure. I should have chosen you, every day, out loud. But I waited too long. And now you're gone. I still wonder what could have been. I lie awake and picture a different ending. One where I didn't let fear guide my steps. One where I spoke when it mattered. One where we didn't become strangers holding memories. But I know the past cannot be rewritten. I know this confession won't undo the hurt. I just needed you to know that I loved you, that I still do, and that not saying it sooner is the greatest regret of my life. There's still more. I told myself this confession would bring peace, that once I said these words, the weight would lift, but it hasn't. Because I realized something else. I didn't just lose you. I lost myself. The version of me that laughed more freely, dreamed more boldly, lived more fully. That version existed with you. When you walked away, you didn't just take your love. You took the light that only shone in your presence, and since then, I've been stumbling in shadows. I lied when I said I wanted you to be happy without me. I said the right thing, the selfless thing. But a part of me, still so deeply tethered to you, couldn't stand the thought of someone else knowing you the way I did. Your morning rituals, your quiet hums, your late-night thoughts. I pretended to be okay. I smiled when I heard your name. I said I was moving on. But all of it, every word, was a cover for the ache that never left. And now, if you've made it this far, there's one final truth I must tell you. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to come back. I don't even expect you to believe that I've changed. But if by some miracle life ever brought us back to the same place, if there was even the faintest chance to make things right, I wouldn't let fear win again. I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't hide. I would show up, flawed and open. I would tell you I love you every single day. I would remind you that you are worth choosing over and over. I would take your hand and never let go. But I know life doesn't hand out second chances freely, and maybe I've already used mine. Still, I needed you to know, because this is my final confession. I pushed away the best thing that ever happened to me, and now I live in the aftermath. I see your face in strangers. I hear your laughter in old songs. I feel your absence like a ghost that won't leave. You were never just a chapter. You were the story. And now I must close the book. Not because I want to, but because I have to. Because you deserve more than someone who only found their courage after you walked away. So here it is, all of it. The truth I held back. The love I never said. The regret that clings to every breath. I loved you. I love you still. And I always will. This is the last page of my silence. And now, I let it go. She'll never know. And maybe it's better that way. There are some truths that live only in the quiet heart, truths that bloom like wildflowers in the dark, away from the noise of questions and the weight of answers. She was mine in the kind of way that can't be written into laws or etched into rings. She was mine in the ache of mornings, in the lullabies of evenings, in the breath between each thought I never dared speak. I loved her in a language I never learned to pronounce. Every glance she gave me was a verse I folded into my ribs. Every smile, God, those quiet, fleeting smiles, were sonnets I memorized with the soul, not the mind. She never knew I was writing poems in the dust of her footsteps. She never knew she was the reason I stayed up tracing galaxies I could never give her, but wanted to. She'll never know that I watched her like one watches a flame, afraid to touch, but drawn all the same. She'll never know that the words I said to others were all poor copies of the ones I meant for her. She'll never know that I waited, that I still do in strange ways. I wait in moments, in smells, in songs she'll never hear, that I play only when I'm alone. I wait in the hope that someday the wind might whisper to her some echo of what she meant. And yet, I let her walk away. I stood at the edge of everything I ever wanted and said nothing, not because I didn't care, but because the love I had for her was the kind that wanted her free, wanted her untouched by my uncertainties. I didn't want to cage her. I didn't want to hold her hostage in a heart that was still learning how to speak. So I chose silence. I chose reverence. I chose a love that watches from afar and smiles when she smiles, even if I'm not the reason anymore. She'll never know she was my forever, not the forever of fairy tales or vows spoken under moonlight, but the forever that lingers, the forever that stays even when everything else leaves, the forever that walks with you in dreams and in lonely grocery aisles, in familiar songs and old letters, in the scent of a stranger's perfume, in the crackle of old vinyl records, in every almost that never bloomed, and maybe she doesn't need to know. Maybe her not knowing is what kept it pure. She'll never know how my hands ached to hold hers, or how my chest softened every time she looked in my direction. She'll never know that I was the one who remembered all the little things, the way she twirled her hair when she was thinking, the crease in her brow when she was worried, the way her eyes dimmed a little when she felt unseen. God, I saw her. I really saw her. And I still do. Even now, when her name lives only in the silence after my prayers, she lives. In the quiet. In the stillness. In the things I can't explain to anyone else. I wonder sometimes if she ever sensed it. If there was a moment, just one fleeting second, when her soul turned toward mine and almost asked, "Was it you all along?" And I wonder if I'd have had the courage to nod even then, or if I would have turned away again, hiding behind the safety of unspoken things. Love doesn't always shout from rooftops. Sometimes it whispers through the cracks in your chest. Sometimes it walks beside you for years, in silence, asking for nothing. I didn't need her to be mine in the world's eyes. I just needed to love her the way the tide loves the shore, coming back, always, even if it's never allowed to stay. She'll never know, and still every word I write is hers. Word I write is hers.